I'm Shahlaa presenter and content creator.
And I'm Tneek, an inspirational rapper and go-getter.
Together, we are Badass Mums. We're here to have some real chat about our lives, trying to have it all, a career and a family.
Girl, trust, we understand.
This podcast is for those mums who's bad.
Who's bad? Who's bad? You're a badass. And what? Yo, what's good? All right. We are back today with another episode, Badass Mums. And yeah, horns. And we've got a guest today, special guest. Her name is Myah. And she's my sister.
Yep, so I'm Shahlaa. I'm Tneek's co-host. And today, Myah's here to talk to us about living with a child with a disability, but specifically autism.
And I've got a question for you guys before we start.
Oh, okay. Switch it up.
What is your experience of children with autism? And when I say, okay, what is your experience? What kind of contact have you had?
So obviously for me, you're my sister. So my closest first-hand experience would be my nephew. And I think it's been a very good, amazing experience because it really opened my eyes to it and made me realise how special they are in the sense of their talents. Because I've always been very amazed with his skills and his talents. So then to hear that he had that, it baffled me because my perception of it was actually thinking that there'd be something wrong with him. Yeah. But then seeing how, his capabilities and then hearing that he's got that, I'm like, hang on, we need to rewrite the script on the whole thing.
And then so with me, no one personal in my life has it, but the 3 years I spent as a teacher in a school, I was teaching 14 to 19-year-olds and I had children on the spectrum everywhere from like, they're just like sitting in that chair, that's their chair, to if I don't have headphones on, I'm not going to do any work because I can't concentrate. Like I've seen full extreme, and I know that there's different ways to handle it. I know there's some really similar traits like that, like are quite generic, but I know there's a spectrum. So like you can't really compare two children too much in what they need and what they require. Oh God, look at me!
Yeah,
Wow.
So how old's your son, first of all?
He's 12, is going to be 13 on Saturday.
Oh gosh,
on
good
Sunday.
luck, babe.
I got the wrong day.
This is like the teen period.
Gonna need some tips.
But I feel really excited.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Not for his birthday, but for the age that he's coming into.
Yeah.
I feel like we're becoming more like friends. That's so silly.
I was not friends with my mama.
Like, I'm excited about the stuff we can do together. Like, the older he gets, the more common interests we have. Like, we want to watch stuff together, and I'm like, wait, don't watch it until I'm there.
Yeah. That's nice. So, for anyone listening, what would you say if you was going to give a general definition? And obviously, you're not a doctor or anything, but
no, not at all.
You're talking from lived experience. What would you say autism is?
I still don't know.
Yeah.
No, I would say it is when, I think everyone has traits of it and it can show in different ways, but it's when, well, this is what I've been told, it's when it stops you from carrying out everyday tasks. So if it stops you from learning, if it stops you from being able to like carry out self-care, or if it stops you from being safe when you're out in public. So I think it's just when it crosses that level of stopping you from doing something that you should normally be able to do. I don't know if that's a good explanation, but
I think I've also read that it can be linked to your emotions as well. Like sometimes you can't process or understand your emotions. So like some of my students, other students would be like, "High five, miss," or like want to give me a hug, and then my children who suffered with autism, they were like, "Don't touch me. I don't know you."
Yeah, definitely. I think with my son as well, he's got sensory processing disorder, which comes, I think it's quite common to have the two of them. And that, again, is just down to processing your senses. So if there's a lot of sound and it's overwhelming, how do you process that? If you touch something and it's really irritating you and it's itching you, or it might be something that's very minimal, but you will notice it a lot more. So I think it is a lot to do with like processing things and processing your feelings and your emotions. And if I'm feeling this way, actually, how do I deal with it? How do I handle it? And I think that is one of the main things. Teaching him, I can only speak about my son anyway, how to deal with how he's feeling. If you feel a certain way, you might be feeling really anxious or you might be feeling really fidgety or whatever it is. But when you are feeling like that, what do you do to deal with it?
And so how old was he when you found out?
Well, when you say when did I find out, when did I get a diagnosis? I got a diagnosis last year.
Wow.
But from...
What signs? When do you see signs then, I guess?
When he went into reception. So as soon as his learning became structured, he was getting in trouble at school all the time. We didn't understand why. And I think even before that, when we would call him as like a baby and we thought he had something wrong with his hearing because he wouldn't respond. We took him to get like hearing tests, but his hearing was fine.
Yeah.
And then, when he went into school now, the behaviour is when we noticed and the school noticed.
Because one of my friend's son, he's just been diagnosed. He's 4. And one of their concerns was that all his peers are like now using the toilet and stuff properly and he's not doing that. And she's like, so what? Like, it's not that deep. Like, everyone's different. Yeah. And she was really like scared to get him like tested and things, assessed. So I don't know what the process is, but assessed. And it did turn out that he has it. And she's a bit like, I think, especially with black people, and I'm going to generalize, like we really like, if something's new to us or foreign to us, we kind of like, that's a load of rubbish. We'll just give them these herbs and they'll be fine.
Do you know what it is though?
And she really didn't want to accept this. And I'm like...
When they first mentioned it to me, I think there's something around your child and giving them that label. I really didn't want him to be labelled. Upset, at first it was really like upsetting. And I thought, nah... They're just because he's not behaving, they're just trying to put this on him. And it's kind of difficult to accept, and not just for me, but actually for him.
Yeah.
And they're telling him these things, you've got this and you're different. For him and for me, it was really difficult to accept it. But now that I look back, I think, do you know what? I'm so happy that I did, because I'm really happy that I got the support and the help and things actually put in place. Whereas if I left it and nothing was put in place and there was no support, he wouldn't be where he is today.
Yeah. He probably would have got in more trouble, and then the schools probably would have been just kicking him out. Yeah. And it would have gone into that typical cycle.
Yeah. Whereas now he's actually got support in place, which will follow him right up until he's in college or uni or whatever.
And do you think the school's been understanding, or... Because I know from working in one,
you know,
not all teachers are great.
It depends.
Some teachers don't care. Some teachers are lazy. Like, and to them, that's a burden in their classroom because they're dealing with 29 other students. But how's that been, having to like navigate that with the school? That
as you said, it depends on the teacher. It depends on the school, and at the same time as well, not just teachers but everyone in general. If you don't know much about it and you see a child that is being rude or a child that is doing something out of the ordinary, you're going to think it's rude. So if you're a teacher with not much experience, you don't understand it or you don't know much about it, naturally you're going to think this child is just not behaving. And if you can't understand how to help them, so it's difficult. It's a difficult one. But then at the same time, you would think that they would give the staff and the teachers enough training to be aware at least that actually this child might need extra support rather than it just being bad behaviour.
And to be honest, with like good schools, there should be a system where they know they have like that profile on all their children. So whether a child's come from care or they have a disability or they have an abusive background, like anything like that, even like studying, like learning difficulties, anything like that, it should be noted. So it is on the teacher to like learn their students.
The only thing is sometimes they don't know. So for example, in my son's case where he started at school, they didn't know that he had any disability. So this child comes in, he's just misbehaving. All through the years, we try absolutely everything and he's just not behaving. It's like, is there something else or is there not something else? Or
so how did that diagnosis take place? Who said maybe we need to get him tested to find out? When did that moment
And how
come?
did they know where to start with what to test him on?
Was it you that thought that? Or was it the teacher? Or?
No, his behaviour at school was bad. He was getting excluded. He was really young, and at home his behaviour was fine. Nothing to concern us about. But when he went to school...
you're lucky. If that was me, I'm going up to school like, you're chatting shit about my child. What? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not having it.
No, but I've been there and I've had those conversations because he's not behaving like this at home. So what is going on at school?
What are you not doing?
What is triggering him? Yeah. And also at that young age, like up to year 2, he was coming home from school every day crying his eyes out that he doesn't want to go to school. And it got to the point that my mum, kept calling me. I'd drop him to school, and I remember at 10 o'clock in the morning, they'd call me and say, can you come back and pick him up? And I would have to turn around and go back and pick him up from school. But it got to the point where my mum...
hold on, wait a minute. You're allowed to get excluded in year 2?
At that point, it wasn't even exclusion. It was just like, he's not settling and we don't know what to do. There's nothing we can do. So
take him home.
Yeah.
No,
it was almost every day.
That's rude.
And then I'm trying to work